Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to another episode of Kaiju Conversation. Joining me, as always, my co-host
Haxorzilla.
and the genius behind Scrye Productions. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. We're honored to have you on. So,
I'm honored to be here.
how have you all been today?
I've been good.
I had a very productive day at work, and now I'm home and doing this podcast with you guys. So it's been pretty good.
Awesome. That's good. It sounds like you've had what I guess some people would say is an enjoyable day.
I
So
would say that.
awesome. Haxor, do you have anything to add on other than it was good?
I'm trying to think what I did. Well,
I imagine you sat and played Mario Maker all day.
actually, no, I've been playing Pokemon Let's Go, and I got my shiny. Nothing to do with Kaiju, but I thought I'd just say that.
Well, anyway, today's topic is, especially with you, Scrye, we're going to be discussing music today. Now, we're going to start off with Godzilla's music, and we'll see where this conversation goes. So, Scrye, before the recording, I know you had brought up that you weren't a fan of the King of the Monsters soundtrack.
How dare you?
Could you kind of explain? Because you're the first person I've actually heard say you didn't care for it.
Yeah. Okay, so first off, I want to say that I'm a huge fan of Bear McCreary's. He's done a lot of awesome work across a lot of other bodies of work, to include but not limited to the God of War video game that I don't know if you've played. He did that entire soundtrack, which was amazing.
That game is so good.
He did the soundtrack for the TV series, Battlestar Galactica, and he's done a lot of other stuff too.
I think he's also done 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Yes, he did. He did 10 Cloverfield Lane. He also did Child's Play.
Oh, the new one?
Odd.
Yeah.
Or see, I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. Well, in any case,
now I'm just picturing Ghidorah's name playing as Chuck, like chasing someone.
right? But so I want to. I'm a huge fan. If I ever got to meet him, I'd probably be like kissing his shoes or something because he's an amazing. No, but he's one of the people that I look up to, like as a musician, as a composer. He's one of my idols. My number one is Hans Zimmer, but he's in the top 5 definitely.
Imagine Hans Zimmer doing Godzilla.
Oh my god! Anyway,
out of curiosity, real quick, is John Williams like your number one?
No, Hans Zimmer is my number 1. John Williams is actually my number 2.
So you just said Bear McCreary is your number 2.
No, I said Bear McCreary is in my top 5.
Oh, okay.
But those two are like solidified in first and second place. The other 3 kind of change up, and then after that, it kind of just is what it is with whoever. But yeah, those John Williams or Hans Zimmer, John Williams, Bear McCreary, those are all people that have inspired my work on my channel with all the music that I've done. And yeah, but I wasn't a really big fan of the King of the Monsters soundtrack. I remember the day they released the 2 preview tracks, what was the Old Rivals and the Godzilla song? And
Old Rivals is actually one of my favorite pieces of soundtrack from the movie.
I only love the first 45 seconds, I think, of that, or not even the 40. I think it's 30 seconds. Like, I love the beginning when it builds up, and then you have the dun 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 dun, and then he loses me after that. Like, I just lose. Like, it's like, why? You could have done more with that. I don't know, but it is what it is.
I personally really like the heart. I believe it's called the Heart Sutra. In all of Ghidorah's names, like the Buddhist chanting in the background.
Oh yeah, and that's really. I think that was good, but I don't like his theme for Ghidorah specifically. I'm a Ghidorah is my number one. All right, Godzilla isn't on a list. Godzilla has his own little special place in my heart, but on my list, Ghidorah is number one. And I, as a matter of fact, when King of the Monsters was like the hype train was starting and stuff, that's when I did my first one, which was the Ghidorah theme that I did, and I tried to hold true to the original theme. And I know there's a lot of debate, but for all intensive purposes, like when I was trying to figure out which one was Ghidorah's theme or was it Rodan's theme, because Ghidorah comes in, the movie, and you have Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra, and they use elements of Rodan's theme from the original version or the original Rodan movie. So I combed through that and I was checking to make sure, okay, this is definitely only used when Ghidorah is on screen. This other one it didn't come out, like it came out in the Rodan movie, and that's why they carried it into the Ghidorah movie, because if you actually look at the Ghidorah movie, it's not a Godzilla movie, it's a Ghidorah movie. The other three monsters are his co-stars.
Yes. Yep.
So I don't know. So anyway, I like the the voices and stuff, and if you listen to my version, I have that in mine as well. I think it does accent the imposing nature of Ghidorah, but I don't like his composition for all intents and purposes. Like I don't like the melodies that he used or the progression or any of that stuff. I was like, it made me feel like it should have belonged to Godzilla instead, because it felt so like looming, and the way I pictured when I would like, because I listened to it before the movie came out, they released the whole freaking soundtrack. And I was just like, God, this feels like Godzilla slowly walking up from, you remember the 1991 version where he fought King Ghidorah and they thought they killed him, and then he reappears and he's much bigger and he's
I love that theme, and that's an amazing scene.
I've actually never seen that one.
What? Oh my gosh.
Even though it's on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
yeah, so
it's not on YouTube, Toho. It's not on YouTube.
It's not on YouTube, Toho.
Nah, I'm just alive.
But no, that scene where he's coming out of the water and you're walking up and they're playing the music, like if you take the music out of that scene and put Bear McCree's Ghidorah music in that scene, perfect for that scene. But it's not a Ghidorah song. Like it didn't feel right. Ghidorah's not this massive looming monster like Godzilla's always been portrayed. He's this space creature that we have no clue about, like ever.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see that edit now.
I will say this. Thinking about it, the movie itself doesn't have very memorable, like, original tracks, except for the revitalized Godzilla themes and Mothra themes.
Really?
And I didn't even like the Mothra theme. Like, he messed it up. I was like, what? He, like, first off, he didn't have any kind of vocals or anything in there except for some people going, and I was like, you put the guy from System of a Down and took an old Godzilla song, which frankly isn't one of the better ones, and remade it for this movie, but you couldn't put any kind of vocals in the Mothra song whatsoever. Come on.
I believe someone did a edit on YouTube and added vocals to it.
Yeah, they did. I've seen that, and I think it's good. But I still don't like his arrangement for the Mothra song because he doesn't hold true to the original in some places. Like if you're gonna blatantly use something like that, you should definitely try to make it almost exactly like the original in that sense. Like for instance, when you hear that melody, do 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 do, like that's not actually how it goes. It's that last note's off key, and not trying to toot my own horn, but if you want to check out a more accurate version, I've got the Mothra song redone on my channel, and it's actually the out of all the Godzilla videos that I have, it's the one with the most views on it. It's the one that everybody loves the most. And I'm like, and I'm not trying to say I did it better than him or anything, but I'm just saying what the approach that I took, I don't have vocals on it. There's nobody chanting, but there is a choir in the background when the big booming part comes up and stuff. I don't know. There was so much about this soundtrack that it didn't feel like it fit into a movie or a Godzilla movie specifically. It felt more like it fit into the Avengers or something, you know? And the chanting, and I'm not the Gregorian chanting for Ghidorah's theme, but I'm talking about the ha ho ya gashi ha ho. I was like, that was the most distracting thing. Like, you know, Godzilla comes up and it's bum 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 bum, and I'm like, where's the? And then all of a sudden I hear this ha ha ha, and I'm like, no, I want to hear Godzilla's roar, not that. Like, where's the roar at the end of that? Like, come on. But it just, I don't know. I actually really have a big problem with the movie, but it's honestly my own fault. But as far as the music is concerned, I want to say the parts that he redid, it was cool. It was interesting how he portrayed it. But it's definitely not one of his stronger pieces.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Back to the soundtracks not being memorable. I find myself humming Ghidorah's and Rodan's name to myself.
From the King of the Monsters movie?
Yeah.
Man, you need to watch the originals and listen to their original versions.
Well, I've heard to them, and I really like them, but I just like the intensity of Rodan's name.
That's what I'm saying. The intensity of the originals way more than this one. Like man. Okay.
And also, I just kind of like the sound of Rodan's name.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean.
Here's my question for you guys. For you, did you like the way the monsters sound? Like, did you like
Rodan?
their
I
roars?
hated Rodan. I hated.
Yeah.
They butchered his roar.
Thank you.
I hated Rodan. I don't even remember. As I've said before on previous episodes, I don't even remember what Rodan sounded like.
He was
sounded
a traditional Muto giant monster for
I
No.
do remember him making a Muto sound when he got impaled.
He sounded like someone who shouldn't be bungee jumping. Like,
I do like Godzilla's roar and King Ghidorah's roar. The mix with the Showa and legendary roar, and then I like Ghidorah's howls. They remind me of Death Ghidorah.
I don't know. I'm with ET on this one. I hated Rodan's roar, and
Yeah, me too.
Ghidorah's was okay.
Yeah,
I liked how they emphasized like the snake feeling to it. You know, like you could hear him slithering, and if you actually paid attention during the movie, you'd see him stick his tongue out a few times to like sniff the air. It was really cool.
But he has a nose.
I know he has a nose, but they were fork tongue in that. So go back and watch the movie. It was really cool. But anyway, but I didn't. There was the high note, you know, like especially when he did the roar heard around the world that woke up.
Yeah, that one I didn't really like.
I don't know. I feel like
because it kind of like cracked in the air.
I almost feel like they did that entire sequence because they were running out of time or something. I was like, no, this is never, and it's not a bad idea, but if you're trying to make a movie that's based on realism somewhat, I could never perceive of any kaiju, even Godzilla, roaring loud enough to be heard around the planet.
But he's an alien.
True, and that's a really good point, which is another reason why I love Ghidorah, because he's not an Earth kaiju. Anyway, but I don't know.
I'm going back to the soundtrack real quick. I do admit, I do love what they did with Godzilla's theme. I like that. But it's only Rebirth and Godzilla's theme. Those are the only two soundtracks tracks on the soundtrack I will go back and listen to on a daily basis.
Yeah, I agree.
I listen to a lot of them on a daily basis.
Oh,
I tried. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, out of curiosity, speaking of Alan Silvestri, that's who did it. Did you like Alan Silvestri's version of the Godzilla theme or Bear
He did one?
McCreary's. For Ready Player One, it was in there for about 20
Oh,
seconds.
but
I
I mean,
just-
so the thing about the themes, the specific theme that was used both in Godzilla King of the Monsters and Ready Player One was you can't mess that one up. It's literally a bunch of horns. Bum, 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 bum. Like you really can't do anything else to that. Akira Fubuki like hit the nail on the coffin with that one. You can't really do much more to that. And Bear McCreary tried, and I'm not saying he failed. He tried, and a lot of people like it. I'm one of the ones that don't. And that's just my personal opinion on that. Everybody's got one, right?
Mhm.
But you can't mess that one up. So like in Ready Player One, it sounded cool. It sounded unique because they put a little bit of a spin on it to kind of tie in with the movie that they were making, because it wasn't a Godzilla movie, but it's still
Yeah.
like, but you know, Steven Spielberg, man, that fan service. I love you. I love you.
I
actually-
want him to come and direct a MonsterVerse
Oh,
movie,
my.
but it's not going to happen because he's retiring in like 2 movies. So.
He is?
No, look, listen, if I have my way, I will bring him out of retirement to make one final movie, and he's going to direct one of my stories. I'm telling you.
Wait,
my
that's
dream.
illegal.
That's good. That's not illegal.
No, so I was making a joke about him. It was just slow.
Oh.
According to what I heard during Ready Player One, that movie was such a handle and a stressor that he said he's got 2 movies left in him, and then he's done. We have West
Yeah.
Side Story, and then that rumored DC superhero movie. So
This man's doing
want
DC.
he was announced for a movie that's supposed to be out in like 2025, but DC cancels half their movies. Anyway,
Yeah, Steven Spielberg needs to. Oh my God, one of the best directors ever. Or James.
Thank you.
Is it James Cameron, the guy that did Avatar?
Yes.
Yeah, James Cameron.
Yes.
Him too. Like if him or Steven Spielberg were to get their hands on a Godzilla movie, like Rotten Tomatoes wouldn't even be able to post anything because everybody else would just be like, "Shut up."
I'm with you there. I firmly believe. I've always said Spielberg is, if not the best, the greatest director of all time.
You know, funny, way off topic, but since we're talking about directors and movie music and stuff like that, J.J. Abrams,
He's good.
No, his mentor, like the person who he kind of directly learned all his tricks from, was Steven Spielberg.
Correct.
And
Didn't Abrams direct Jurassic World?
no,
No.
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 No, he didn't. But what I want to say about J.J. Abrams, as good as a director as he is, which he's done some really good work, I think The Force Awakens was a pretty decent movie, and I think the Last Jedi really killed the franchise. But but I've seen, his Star Trek movies that he did were good too. And I've learned something about J.J. Abrams. He is no Steven Spielberg, but he is the Steven Spielberg of reboots.
Yes.
He is amazing at rebooting a storyline and making it interesting again. Because we currently are in that age of media where reboots is everything. Like, look, we got Aladdin, Lion King. I'm going to throw Godzilla under the bus on this one. We got the Godzilla movie. And I know it's a new movie and stuff and a new storyline, MonsterVerse, blah, blah, but it's still a reboot. And for all
it's a
intents,
sequel and reboot, yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to reboot the franchise, but unlike all the other franchises, what's unique about the Godzilla franchise is it does this. This is not the first time it's ever done something like this. It goes into hibernation periods of about 10 years, and then it comes back and tries to resurge itself. Ha ha ha. Like what I did there?
Yes.
So I honestly think what's interesting is I know Toho put that place or they're planning on building a studio or something in California and expanding operations to America. So we're gonna have Toho Japan, Toho America, and some other. I think they're gonna try to go somewhere else. But
Brazil.
Probably China. I would not be surprised if China was it.
what I'm interested to see is just how many more actual Godzilla movies we're going to get before he goes into hibernation again. Because if you do the numbers, you have, if you just look at the Heisei series, I don't count the Showa because they were just kind of dragging those along and then it abruptly ended. But if you look at the Heisei series, they ended it with a purpose. Like okay. The Godzilla versus Destroya movie, like Godzilla died in that movie, right? And Junior picked up where he left off. But they ended that series. And then the Millennial era, they tried a bunch of new different things with like GMK and whatnot, and then you had the SOS movies, and that was really interesting. The first two in the series, it was kind of meh, but then they did the abysmal. I really dislike Final Wars. I absolutely think that's one of the worst Godzilla movies in the franchise.
Really?
I absolutely do. And then they ended it with one of the worst, in my opinion, what is, in my opinion, one of the worst franchise movies. I mean, look at the numbers. It did terrible in the box office.
That's true.
It didn't do well at all, and it didn't feel like a Godzilla movie to me. It felt like a Power Ranger movie to me, to be honest with you. But then 2014 comes along 10 years later, and we get the 2014 movie that was probably, I don't want to say it's the best one, but it's still. I still think it's the best Godzilla movie America has made. Is the 2014?
Yes.
You enjoyed it better than King of the Monsters?
Absolutely. And I was really hyped for King of the Monsters. I think I actually overhyped myself. Because I was like, oh my god, they want to do this MonsterVerse. They made Kong Skull Island. They're going to have I thought it was going to be like another Star Wars kind of story with all this different stuff going on. And like they were going to try to expand it into a TV series. They got comic books and novels and everything that Disney's doing with Star Wars. I was like, come on, let's do that with Godzilla. That's what he needs. I'm like, let's put him in situation and things that he's never done before. And the MonsterVerse is trying to do that, but 2014 really set things up in a very good way, whereas King of the Monsters, they learned from a lot of the on the surface mistakes, but they didn't actually learn anything about making a good Godzilla movie because, one, all of the monster battles, as cool as they are with the special effects, they're actually really terrible when you compare them to why people love GMK and Godzilla 2000 and any of the Heisei, any of the other Godzilla movies. And the biggest reason is the other Godzilla movies don't cut away in the middle of the fight. like that whole part where when Godzilla first pops up in the Antarctic and Ghidorah's, he just came out of his ice cage and they're starting to charge at each other, and then it cuts away to the humans freaking out, doing all their stuff in that little plane. Like, why did you do that? You should never have done that. Even that's where I'll give Final Wars any kind of credit. They still got the monster battles right. Like, they didn't cut away. They were epic. They were cool. They did some off-the-wall stuff. Godzilla obviously wasn't flying, or he didn't do his famous tail glide into Megalon, but, we at least got to see the action uninterrupted and, watch when Godzilla throws punches at Kiru and stuff like that, and Kiru throwing punches back. Like, we don't cut away and worried about the human that's stuck in the helicopter that's gonna fall in between it. Who cares? Like, he could have died, and the movie would have been better if they would have just had better monster action sequences. Now, what they had, the special effects, everything about it was good, and it was revolutionary for a Godzilla movie. But I still think Shin Godzilla was better than King of the Monsters.
I think King of the Monsters had some of the best CGI of 2019. If you compare it to things like Cat and...
Are you sure? Are you sure about that? There's two really bad CGI scenes that stood out to me.
Which ones?
The very beginning one where he's walking through San Francisco, and then the very last one when he's becoming the king of the monsters. It looked exactly like the first scene. Like, it was almost like they copied and pasted the coloring and everything about the first scene, and I was like, oh. Like, it just, I think what they could have done for better dramatic effect was put the sun behind Godzilla and just make a dark silhouette of him if they were going to do that. But the way they had the light hitting him, it looked just as bad as the very first scene that he appears in the movie.
You know, just adding on to that, if they had done a Godzilla with the sun silhouette, it would have been awesome if the sun was red to reference the flag for Japan as Godzilla's roaring.
But the sun isn't red.
The red circle within the Japanese flag, it's kind of like a. I would have said if it was me and I would have done that and anybody would have asked me about that, I would have been like, it's saying thank you to the Japanese and everything that they've done for bringing such an epic franchise.
I was just kidding when I said.
Oh man, don't do that.
I haven't actually talked about this, but did you like Blue Oyster Cult's?
No. I hate that song. I hate that song. Sorry. I hate the original, and I don't think the new one was any better.
Have you listened to Nozilla?
Nozilla? What is that?
It's a parody. I'm after the recording. I'll give you a link to listen to Nozilla.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
I like it, but that's because it's like a stupid random parody song that's actually official. So
that's funny.
But if people listening at home, definitely give it a check.
I'll definitely go check that out. I'm down. Anything that pertains to Godzilla, I always check it out first and before I make up my mind on it. But I've never liked that song. As a matter of fact, I would have rather have heard him do a vocal version of Mothra's song or something, that song wasn't very popular back then, and I thought it was cool for the fan service, but
the way I see it, it wouldn't really fit if they had twin girls singing Mothra.
Well, even if it was just a single singer,
that
it did.
Yeah, but even if it did have just one person singing, I don't think the singing would really fit with the tone.
Maybe
and
not.
It would be kind of off-putting.
But I'm just saying anything would have been better than that song. I really dislike that.
I didn't really mind it.
I mean, personally, I thought it was awesome. I
love Surge Tankin' and I love System of a Down. As a matter of fact, I learned a lot of their songs when I was learning how to play guitar and bass and drums. But I just don't like that song.
But real quick, we kind of discussed this earlier. I have heard nobody talk about this song, and it is kind of a random song. But I firmly wish they could have got the rights to do the Odo Island song from 54. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
I'd have to go back and listen to it because there's so much music I listen to. But if you're talking about the original 54 soundtrack like that, I liked that entire soundtrack. But I'm not. I can't remember the Odo Island specific one.
Basically, if people at home don't know what I'm talking about, in the original,
Odo.
They.
Shit.
Whenever everybody had gone to Odo Island to research about Godzilla, they sat in on the weird ceremony.
I'm listening to it right now. I recognize it. Yeah.
I would have loved to have had that somewhere in there. Maybe a prolonged version, but that's about worshipping Godzilla as a god. I think that would have fit really well. So.
Well, there is such a big missed opportunity, which is what I'm shameless self-plug. I don't care. Your listeners will hear this. My Godzilla Origin series, the audio drama, is going back in Godzilla's past that they hinted to in the Monsterverse. So, when they were showing that underwater temple or whatever for Godzilla, that was his home. A lot of people think that's Atlantis. I strongly disagree. But even in the Aftershock novels, we find out that the Godzilla that was in 2014 that was dead, that the Mutos spawned from, was actually named Dagon, and so the first season of Godzilla Origin series is just me kind of, I'll be honest, I was experimenting. I had no clue. And the reason why I even used the monsters that are in that series was because Michael Dougherty said they were some of his favorites, and they're some of my favorites too. So I made up stories with them and linked it to the MonsterVerse. Monarch's in there. I bring up other characters that you'll recognize. But in season 2, everything that they didn't tell us in this movie, like where did the painting of Kong and Godzilla come from? And we obviously know that that's not King Kong because of the comic books. So like, there's this whole rich backstory, which is something that Disney did with the Star Wars Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. Like, they went back and told some of this story, so everything made sense why the Empire was doing what they were doing in Episode 4, so on and so forth. And so that's what I'm attempting to do with the Godzilla Origin series. Is I'm going to tell that story of Dagon and the other Godzilla members of the family, and why Mothra and them are linked together in that quote-unquote symbiotic relationship. and just kind of, explore that, because I think that right there is what is like something that a lot of Godzilla fans don't know that they want to know, but they want to know it. You know what I mean?
I gotcha. Now, one of the episodes we recorded before this one, we were talking about Godzilla versus Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want Bear McCreary to come back?
No.
Who would you say should replace him then?
And
Other than Hans Zimmer.
Okay, dang it, that's not fair.
I was about to say $5 was gonna say Hans Zimmer.
And first off, it's not that I don't want Bear McCreary. It's not that I don't think he could do a good soundtrack for Godzilla vs. Kong, because for all intents and purposes, he did well for the Godzilla movie. It just wasn't anything. It's not memorable. That being said, obviously Hans Zimmer would be my first choice. If I had to pick another, I can't remember who it was, but the person that did the Avatar soundtrack.
I know who you're talking
Hang
about.
on, I'll find out right now.
I haven't even seen Avatar before.
To be honest, I can't watch that movie. It's super boring.
It looks aggravating.
No. I'm talking about the Blue People movie, not the Airbender movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
What? You think that movie is boring?
Yes, the one from James Cameron. I acknowledge the art it is, but I cannot sit through that movie. It feels like an alien Abyss. It feels like Aliens plus Abyss plus an
James
extra
Horner.
$50 billion. James Horner, yep.
I would like to see James Horner put his hands on this project, and if he's going to, like, here's the thing that really kind of frustrated me with the Godzilla soundtrack and Bear McCreary is he had access, and I don't know if it was whose choice it was to choose the themes that he got to use, but if he got to pick the themes, and obviously Michael Daugherty had something to say. They could have picked other, like, more iconic themes to those monsters. Like, the Rodan theme is so good, and everybody, like, you would hear that, like, Haxo, I know you haven't seen a lot of those movies that I've been talking about, but the moment you hear that theme,
what movie?
The Rodan theme.
Oh yeah.
You would recognize it. I'm not talking about the one from King of the Monsters.
I know originally.
But like that, I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know. Again, part of me wants to say that I really overhyped this movie for myself, and so when I saw the finished product the very first time, because I've seen it a lot, like over a dozen times, I liked it. The second time I saw it, I legitimately asked myself, why did I pay for this again? And I know why I
kinda-
did it. I honestly paid for it again because I deep down want the MonsterVerse to continue. I think it has a lot of potential. And especially after that tweet that was recently done by the guy in charge of the projects at Toho saying he kind of likes the MonsterVerse too. Um, there's a lot of potential for it to do stuff, but the problem is you gotta tell the right story. And what they're doing, the ideas that they have are so crazy good. Like having Godzilla be a part of our ancient past and explain where, like, you know, all the monsters that Hercules fought came from and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I keep ranting about it. I love King of the Monsters, but I really hate King of the Monsters. Like, as a matter of fact, I was watching it again last night, and I just think about the potential that it had, and maybe it'll be better because with the DVD release that's coming in the next month, he's supposed to be adding the additional 30 minutes of footage that got cut from this movie.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna try and steer away from King of the Monsters now.
I'm sorry.
Let's talk
I
about the
know
anime.
earlier. We'll bring that up here in a bit. I know you brought up how you hate Final Wars. Do you like the soundtrack at all? I feel like you're going to say indefinitely no, but what's your thoughts on that soundtrack?
I don't necessarily dislike it. So here's the thing. And this is why I'm very conflicted. The problem with Godzilla ultimately is that for the longest time you had only a few hands on the project. You know, a lot of the directors came back to direct multiple Godzilla films. Akira Fubuki did the majority of the music, and the music that he didn't do wasn't bad. But I was so used to Akira Fubuki's scores that I couldn't like them as much. Does that make sense? And it's almost like a loyalty thing to a degree that's a fault on my end. Like I'm a staunch Akira Fubuki fan.
It's kind of like if they had done a Halloween movie, but they don't bring back the Halloween theme.
Yeah, you know, and so I mean they didn't just do that for Final Wars, they did it for almost the entire Millennial series.
Yeah.
If not the entire Millennial series. As a matter of fact, I can't think, except for maybe in the Tokyo SOS and Godzilla against Mechagodzilla movie, they brought some older theme back, but
2000 had an original theme. I know that. It may have been redone by somebody else, but it was the original theme.
Right. But I don't necessarily dislike them. I've done a recreation of like Space Godzilla's theme, or the theme from that movie. I don't know if it's technically his. But as far as Final Wars goes, honestly, Final Wars is I don't know. It's on the same level for me. Like the thing with Final Wars is it's on the same level for me as far as King of the Monsters is concerned, except with Final Wars, I had no expectations because I didn't even know that movie existed until I saw it. Like when I found out about it, I immediately saw it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I like I guess they were trying to, you know, end the anniversary with a bang and stuff. And that was cool. It was cool to see Ebra walking on all 8 legs. I don't know how to, like, I don't know. It felt like a Power Ranger movie to me. And I honestly thought, here's the thing. The Gamera Heisei series, which I don't know if you guys have seen those, but if you haven't,
I've seen the last one. Because I found it in like a $10 bin.
In my humblest opinion, that is the best kaiju series to date. They still haven't topped what they did with those movies. And special effects are better, but I'm talking about the story, how they linked everything together, the themes and stuff that they were portraying. Like they did it right. They did everything that the Heisei Godzilla series wanted to do, like on the button. They did it. They did it.
What did you think of GMK?
GMK was really good. That was, and I know it was made by the same guy that did the Gamera series, which is why it's really good and still one of the big fan favorites because he did it right. That guy knows how to make monster movies. I
For
can't.
the
Yeah.
record, just to make myself feel better, I met him and I have his signature. So
See, I would love to meet him and pick his brain on how he comes up with his monster themes because, like, very similar to how those movies work is how I'm writing my Godzilla stories. I think that's probably one of the better ways to do it.
I gotcha. So let's see. We've talked about King of the Monsters.
You mean I've pooped all over it?
I guess. So would you say anything after 75 or anything not Ifukube kind of was meh to you for
No.
Godzilla?
I really loved the 1984 or Godzilla Returns. I love that entire soundtrack.
Really?
I love 98.
Yes. Did I say 98 or 94? I mean 84.
No, I
Yeah,
said
80.
I love 98.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But yeah, I love that. I don't know if Akira Fubuki did that, but that didn't have any of the original themes, and I freaking loved that soundtrack. It fit perfect.
That was Ifukube did all but 2 in the Heisei, and that's because he only did it for 100-meter monsters and not 80 meters.
Was he got a problem with 80?
Yeah.
They're too short. Yeah, he didn't do. No. Are you sure he did? Did he do 1984? I can't remember now.
No, he didn't do 84 and he didn't do Biolante.
And he didn't do Space Godzilla either.
That's true. So I think Space Godzilla was the only one he didn't come back for in the Heisei 90s.
Yes, that's correct. What's interesting is the person that did the Space Godzilla music also started the Millennial series music as well.
Yeah.
So, and they're not bad. That I don't know. And this is bad on me right now. Part of it's because I'm tired. Part of it's because I've got a lot of trivial information running around in my head at the moment. I've been researching a lot for the Godzilla Origin series, but that composer, I don't mind their music. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's not. There's not times where it's terrible, but there's not times that stand out to me either. But it works, you know. I do particularly like the dun 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 dun.
Oh, I love that one.
Dun dun dun.
That is a good one.
As a matter of fact, in the Burning Godzilla theme that I remade, I used that beat from that theme and kept the original, the Godzilla theme from Destroya, Godzilla vs. Destroya, when he's like going through Tokyo or Hong Kong and stuff. And I kind of meshed them together for that. I actually really like that theme a lot.
Now, out of curiosity, out of all the Heisei, what's the best soundtrack? Personally, it's a 3-way tie between Destroya, Mechagodzilla, and Ghidorah. But what's your favorite from the Heisei series of Godzilla movies?
I would have to.
Soundtrack-wise.
I would have to say Godzilla 1984. Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Man, that's a tough one because the Heisei series is my stomping grounds. Like that's what I grew up watching was the Heisei series. If I had to pick a third, it'd probably be Destroya 2. Like 84, Mechagodzilla 2, and Destroya. Those 3 movies.
I gotcha. Haxor, what would you say is your favorite from the Heisei?
I feel like saying Space Godzilla, but then I lean more towards Destroya.
I gotcha.
Spoiler
No.
alert.
Oh
Space
wait, no.
Godzilla is
I
going
know
to
what it is.
be-
It's my favorite soundtrack from Heisei is from Battle for Earth.
Really?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
Godzilla versus Mothra.
Oh, Battle for Earth. It did have some good themes in it. It really did.
I'll be honest here, I don't care for that movie at all.
I don't either.
I'm gonna
I
hit
think
you.
I think it was a sad attempt at trying to bring Mothra into that franchise.
I actually quite like the film for some reason.
I like the concepts. Batra is a really cool monster idea.
Agreed.
And being the antithesis of Mothra, some of these things I'm going to be putting into the Origin series. So anyway, like stuff that I really liked and I feel like they could have done something, like I'm interpreting that in my own way. So
Exclusive announcements here.
yeah, honestly, like I legitimately don't say a lot about what I'm doing until I get it done. So you guys
Awesome.
getting like some spoiler stuff, some spoiler territory.
Now, I know you said that Heisei is your stomping ground,
Yes.
but mine is Showa, because that's what I've grown up with. What is your, other than 54? Oh, Haxor, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna say I grew up with a mix of all the eras.
I feel like you started with Millennium, just out of curiosity. Did you?
I actually started with
I'm going to
TriStar?
say, yeah.
but then my first actual Godzilla movie was Godzilla vs. King Kong, so I guess would say Showa.
Wait. Is that what they're calling the 1998 movie, the TriStar movie?
It's just what came off the top of my head, so I called it that.
I just call it Gino.
Oh.
But, other than the original, which Godzilla movie would you say had the best themes from the Showa era?
Ghidorah the three-headed monster.
Godzilla vs. King Kong.
Huh?
Really?
I love Godzilla's theme in that.
Man, you two are far off from what I was hoping you would say.
What were you gonna say?
I was hoping you were either going to say Terror of Mechagodzilla or...
It's too jazz for me.
Well, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla is definitely jazz.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that one, not Terror of Godzilla.
But Terror of Mechagodzilla was the one where Ifukube came back.
Now that I'm thinking about that one, I was actually humming the theme from that the other day, trying to rethink of how am I going to read that. The theme from Terror of Mechagodzilla, that da na na na. You're talking about that one, right?
Basically, I like all of the stuff in that, so I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Right, yeah. So that particular theme, like, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to recreate that next. That's coming out in the near future.
Awesome. More exclusive stuff, guys. But I do like how Ifukube brings in, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the brass section. That's really what he emphasizes. And I feel like that's what makes all of his themes very powerful and very thunderous, you know?
You're 100%. I agree with you 100%.
Good, I know what I'm talking about. That's great.
Real quick, what do you guys think of Bagon's theme?
Bagon? He has a theme?
Yeah. From Super Godzilla?
From the video game, right?
Yeah.
I've not heard it. Because I never got to Bagon.
I never got to that level, so...
Well, I just heard it on YouTube.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Tell me what you think of it when you hear it.
I will definitely have to check it out.
But, let's see. Oh, I take it we all are fine with 2014's soundtrack, correct?
It's a man to me.
Yeah, it's.
I love the opening.
Honestly, I think they should have stuck with that stuff as far as the themes. It was cool that we got some of the Godzilla themes, but I think they should have kept that because I feel like the 2014 soundtrack is not necessarily memorable, but it started the MonsterVerse.
Agreed.
And there's a lot of elements that are carried over into Kong Skull Island from the first soundtrack and King of the Monsters as well. So I think if they were going to do that, they should have went, all the way and made their own original piece because it wasn't bad. It was really good, actually. I like the 2014 soundtrack.
I think it's okay. I like the Janjiro with the Japanese flutes and the drums.
Yeah, I like
love
that one too.
And then of course Godzilla with the exclamation point from the beginning.
I like the song that plays when the Muto breaks.
So are you guys like when you're listening to this music and stuff, are you more into the fact that, like, for instance, you're talking about the Japanese flutes and stuff, and I knew exactly what theme or piece of music you're talking about. Is that what you pay more attention to, other than like the melodies and how it feels, like the authenticity of, like, okay, they're trying to pay respects to Japan or whatever, plus they're in Japan, so they're using these sounds as they're in the area, like, to represent it. I don't like. That's my.
I'll be honest. I didn't know that until, like, I read on further about it. The way I like a soundtrack is how was it presented on screen, and can it hold itself individually without being in the.
Right. Yeah, I see.
Haxor, what, how do you look at stuff like that?
If it just sounds cool, I like it.
I gotcha.
He's easy.
I mean, yeah, you're simple, That's.
Yeah.
I fully understand.
I'm not hard to please.
Awesome. Now, I apologize. What were you going to say before I interrupted you, Scrye?
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh, well. Oh, can we all agree that Godzilla Rates Again has an awful soundtrack?
No. I remember one theme, and I actually kind of like it.
No.
Oh.
I can't agree. That's one of my favorite Godzilla movies. That's in my top 10 list.
Wait. Godzilla Rates Again.
Yeah.
The 1955 movie.
Yes.
Well, I'm trying to think if it's the actual theme for the movie I'm thinking of, but there is a piece of soundtrack from the movie that I like.
Boom. Like, I mean, it still had the intensity of the 1954 movie, except now you had Anguirus with him. And
I see that as.
Well, I can't think of the song right now.
The only one I can think of is the one that plays on the DVD menu of the classic media release. That's because I've heard that for about 5 hours in a row, so.
Oh, what the Raids Again?
Yeah, the dun 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 dun.
Okay,
yeah,
it's the main title I'm thinking of that.
Oh, okay.
Now, we haven't touched on the anime trilogy yet, but that's mainly because I want to forget that.
Why? Uh-oh.
Live and Die.
Dang.
Okay, I will say this.
I said
the
Live
first
and Die.
one had a good theme. The first one did.
I loved the Godzilla for that.
Everything after kind of was.
Are we talking about the movie or the music of the movie?
Well,
music.
we can all agree that the trilogy as a whole is a dumpster fire, but the
It
music
wasn't,
in it is
it
okay.
wasn't a dumpster fire. It was.
Dang, them fighting words. I will.
I'm sorry. I will never watch City on the Edge of Battle again.
For me, the anime trilogy is at most, like, those.
It was
lists. It was a D for me.
Really. Dang.
Like,
See,
it's not an F. It's not an F.
I'm one of the few that absolutely adore the anime series.
The problem I have, we are gonna quickly.
Well,
touch
I'm
on
also
this.
I'm also one of the few who actually like the mecha.
Oh my god. Oh, I the only thing I can say positive about the anime trilogy is Godzilla's design is interesting,
Yeah, I like that. I
and
like. Okay, these are the
the
three.
theme for the first one was
Okay,
okay.
yeah, yeah. The three things I like about the trilogy is Godzilla's design, Godzilla's theme, and Mechagodzilla's design.
I like all of it. I thought the animation was good. I thought the designs were great. I thought the sound effects were interesting. The music was okay. Again, it's in the same vein as it's not necessarily memorable, but it was interesting. They did some different stuff. Like for Ghidorah's, I thought Ghidorah's theme was a lot better in the anime than it was in King of the Monsters, but that's just me. I think why I like the anime series the most, though, is because of the story that it tells, right? We've never seen a situation like that before where Godzilla literally kills all the other monsters, kicks us off our planet, and dominates it for what, 20,000 years? And then it adapts to him, and then we come back and try to take it over, let alone we've got survivors already on Earth. But it's just a really interesting scenario to put Godzilla in, whereas he kicked us off the planet for whatever reason, and then now we're trying to come back, and the planet has shaped its ecosystem to him, not to us, not to the rest of the life on the planet. Like everything like is evolving around Godzilla. And our hubris is man, thinking that, and I mean, this is something they tried to touch on with King of the Monsters, but I think the anime series did it way better and used so many different aspects of our culture, everything from religion to politics to military power and so on, and science and technology. Like it was all used and told a really good story. Whereas when you compare it to something like King of the Monsters, there was way better character development in the anime. There was way better backstory and like figuring out what the hell was really going on. And as individual movies, I'll agree with you, ET, that they're terrible. But they weren't meant to be individual movies. So if you're gonna watch them, you kind of gotta watch them in order, almost in one sitting, or else you'll dislike them a lot and it won't make sense.
I'll just say this. On my trip to Chicago, I had downloaded the 3 on Netflix, the smart downloader I have, and I couldn't physically watch the second one. I couldn't.
Why?
I hate that movie. It is the worst Godzilla movie of all time.
I fell asleep at least once watching all three. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was just really tired when I watched them.
Number 1 is okay, and number 3 is okay, but 2 is absolute garbage.
Is it because Mechagodzilla wasn't in monster form?
That's not my main problem.
What's your main
Even
problem?
though, yes, they promoted Mechagodzilla way too much to end up not being in.
How is it a bad movie that one person?
There's
Yeah.
no monster fighting. The characters in it are very basic to me. I have no feeling for any of them. The soundtrack for that one is the worst out of all 3 of them. Godzilla. Did I already say Godzilla's barely in it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See, it just. He moved like 5 inches the whole movie. It's just everything about that movie is awful. And I can't physically put myself to watch it.
I can
unless I
understand
do
that.
like a Godzilla. If I do a Godzilla-thon, again, I can probably watch it if I have enough things to occupy me while watching it.
Wow. I guess I can agree with you on that aspect. The second movie is definitely the weakest of the 3 and probably one of the worst in the franchise. However, as a whole, the story is really good. Like if someone needs to do an edit of that movie and cut out a lot of stuff. and it'll make that movie a lot better because there was a lot of extraness that just kind of didn't need to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know why. As a writer, I know why they did it, but it was kind of pointless because they didn't do it right in the first movie to allow that to carry over into the second movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anyway, before
so
we all get angry, I'm gonna switch the subject again. We've talked about Godzilla, and I feel like we've kind of covered all the major aspects.
hmm
I can we agree that Ifukube should have done Showa exclusively, and that the like 5 that he didn't kind of feel a little awkward?
You're talking about Hedorah and the first Mechagodzilla.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
didn't he? I don't think he did Son of Godzilla,
No,
or Godzilla's Revenge, or
no,
Godzilla vs. Megalon, or Gigan.
he did do Gigan.
He did? Okay, I
I'm
wasn't
pretty sure he did. Let me check though.
I should know this because we talked all about Gigan one episode, so or Godzilla vs. Gigan.
My
But
number
I do know.
2. Uh-oh.
I don't think he did because it's kind of different tonally.
Akira Fubuki did it. Yep, 1972.
Ah, interesting. I did not. So okay. We all agree, I guess, on the aspect that Ifukube was the best out of the Showa stuff.
Oh yeah, easy.
Awesome. Haxor, do you have any final thoughts on the Godzilla franchise music?
It's iconic.
I can agree with that. It's like we said earlier, Godzilla's main theme, the da 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 da,
Mm-hmm.
that is engraved in history as Godzilla. I don't think you could ever try and redo and like make a completely different theme and have it as noticeable and recognizable as that one.
I agree.
Now I've just realized because I'm looking at my DVDs, we didn't touch on this. I hate Shin Godzilla's soundtrack, not the reused music. I love that, but I hate the original score.
No.
As a soundtrack as a whole, I dislike it. There are individual pieces of music that I like, and I also am an Evangelion fan. So when they reused some of that, I was like, but I dislike the soundtrack in the sense that a lot of it was reused, and I know why they did it, but a lot of it was reused. And then I kind of like the original pieces, like well, no, actually, I don't. I can't say I do, to be honest with you. I think they're cool and interesting, but they don't remind me of a monster movie.
Yes. Haxor, your thoughts on Shin Godzilla soundtrack?
Yeah.
Because I don't care for that movie a whole lot more.
Besides the reuse of the 62 theme, it's no thanks.
I gotcha. And I do have to admit, I lost some respect I had for Shin Godzilla when I watched Evangelion and I saw that they reused some of the music.
Yeah. Well, you know why though, right?
Because of the director.
Yeah, he wrote Evangelion and he wrote that
Yeah.
movie. Evangelion is huge in Japan. It's my favorite anime.
Mine's Pokemon.
Oh god.
Oh, God.
Just kidding.
I like Pokemon, don't get me wrong, and I used to be able to
the
name
games.
all 500. I don't know how many there are now, but there were
1,000.
Oh my god. Yeah, when
1,000
I stopped,
cards?
No,
Or
1,000 different
game.
Pokemon.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's an estimate because the new game isn't out yet. And currently there's around 700 or 800.
Yeah. So if they add another like 100 or 150, we'll be treading real close to that 4-digit number of Pokemon.
And Pokemon actually played my username.
I want to see them make a bacteria Pokemon that you can't catch with a Pokeball.
That'd be interesting.
Right? Oh
But
man. Anyway.
I feel like because we'll go back and we'll touch on King Kong and Gamera, but the other solo giant monster Toho films, other than Mothra and Rodan, was there really any memorable ones?
There are several that I haven't seen. Like I have yet to see Varan. I have yet to see
Oh,
the one where Gorosaurus makes his first appearance, but I can't remember what it's
King
called.
Kong
King Kong
escapes.
Escapes.
Is it
I
King?
said it
Yeah,
first.
I have yet to see that movie. What other giant Oh, I did see Dagora, the space jellyfish movie.
Yeah, Dagora. Yeah,
That was actually the concept was really cool.
I like the
Um,
concept. It's just kind of boring.
yeah. I
You
think if
seen-
they, I think if they redid that movie in the
It'd be a
style of
lot better.
Cloverfield, no, in the style of Cloverfield.
Have you
And-
seen?
That would be good.
Have
Yeah.
you seen Latitude Zero? It has my favorite kaiju Maguma.
No,
That's Gorath Haxor.
Oh,
no, I have not. I haven't seen the movie with Manda in it.
Atragon.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Frankenstein, have you seen that, or Gargantuas?
War of the Gargantuas, I have not seen.
how did I get a
Okay.
big walrus mixed up with big rats?
I don't know. Real quick, this is your homework, Scry. You have to watch War of the Gargantuas. That is one of the greatest giant monster movies of all time.
Really? Here's why I haven't watched it.
It's
The
too
monsters.
scary.
No, the monsters don't look interesting to me. Like they physically don't look interesting to me. I have no clue what their characters are about. I have no clue what that movie is about.
They're
All the
kind of-
posters and everything that I've seen for it, it does not look interesting to me.
From what
I
I've
love
heard,
that
I'm
movie.
pretty sure. From what I've heard, it takes place after Frankenstein conquers the world, and they're like
Yes.
little chunks of Frankenstein that grew into their own things. Well,
Unless
Sanda
you watch
is.
the American edit.
Well,
The
Sanda
American edit
is.
removes that.
And Gyra is chunks of Sanda, I think his name is, that
Yes.
grew into its own thing. I don't know.
They're the children of Frankenstein.
I
if you
actually
go
really
by
like the
Toho.
concept and ideas of the Gargantuan, and I don't mind the designs.
Well, I'll definitely have to check it out. I know I should just to familiarize myself with it, but it's just never those creatures like they kind of look ugly. Like I don't they're not.
Well, monsters aren't really
Appealing.
supposed to be.
Are they? Because Godzilla, I can always look at Godzilla no matter
Okay,
what suit he's in, and he still looks cool.
No,
I
like what
think
I
the
mean is
story
like monsters
that
aren't
they
supposed
give-
to be. Monsters aren't supposed to be goddesses
Why not?
because they're monsters.
I guess
Well,
story-wise
I
they
guess
make
you have,
sense,
like,
but they're not visually appealing.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So that's what I was saying. Like, I don't know anything about their characters. I don't know anything about the movie or the story or anything. Like, you guys give me a little bit. I was like, oh wait, there's a prequel to this sequel. So
Yeah, Frankenstein
sequel?
conquers the world.
So yeah, I haven't watched it. I'm not very familiar with it. I know it sounds really bad. But what's really deterred me is the look of the monsters, to be honest with you.
Sanda isn't so bad, but then you look at Gyra and you just want to play.
There's a reason why I don't watch Godzilla versus King Kong. For the same reason that King Kong is just gross to look at. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I just don't like the way he looks in that movie, so I don't watch it.
Let's see. Have you seen the Mysterians?
Morgera.
No, actually. No. I take that back. I have a long time ago. I'm talking about when I was
gotcha.
like probably younger than 10, and I don't remember. I need to go back and watch it because
Have you seen Young Gary?
yes, I have. I'm very familiar with
one?
Young Gary. Which one do you want to talk about? I've seen the original And then I've seen the one that they did more recently, and they tried to. It's really bad CG effects.
For the record, I do like the modern one. I just don't like how they executed the special effect.
Right, but you can't. You got to give them props for trying.
Yes.
A for effort.
A for effort.
But we'll touch on Young Gary here in a brief moment. And then
Oh, no.
Orochi the Eight-Headed Dragon. Have you seen that? Nobody has, so if you
Have you seen the Three Treasures or what it's called?
No, I have not seen the movie Orochi, the eight-headed dragon, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, eight-headed.
I am familiar with Orochi and who he is, and his ties to Ghidorah, actually.
Yeah.
So I didn't know they made a movie.
They have two. The one in '94 is awful. It's not memorable at all, and the Three Treasures from
I
'7
think
is
it
like
is.
5 hours long.
Oh my
So-
god.
Wait, it's a
like
5-hour
3.
long movie?
I think it's 3 hours long, but it's super long, and it's very...
It feels like a 5-hour movie. So what you're
Yeah.
trying to tell me is I could down a 5-hour energy drink and make it through?
Hopefully.
For the sake of my being, I've never drinking an energy.
Don't do it.
I'm not.
Don't ever do it. You don't need it. I don't care what anybody tells you. You don't need them. Anyway.
I had a sip of not Red Bull. I had a sip of Monster and then it was empty. So I guess that saved me. Anyway, back on topic.
So now I guess we can quickly discuss, because we've went through the Toho stuff. King Kong.
Ultraman.
Ultraman doesn't really have much music except for its themes.
What are you talking about?
But does anybody have like anything they want to say about Kong's theme song? I'll be honest, I don't remember any of Kong's score.
Out of all of the music, I could say that the one that I remember the most is Skull Island.
I don't even remember that one.
And the Skull Island, that's not to say that the Kong Skull Island soundtrack's any good. I just remember that one the most because all of the other ones are that forgettable.
I don't even remember if it had music playing.
I never understood how anybody, and it's not that I dislike Kong, okay? But I don't understand how people can like Kong.
Yeah, I don't really like King Kong because he's just a big animal. But then I guess you have things like Mothra and Rodan.
Yeah,
Rodan's
but
a dinosaur.
is he?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what to call
Kong
things
a
anymore.
dinosaur?
Oh, actually, no, he's a pterosaur.
He's a
Pardon me?
prehistoric animal.
Kong is?
That's what I would say.
He's a
Yeah.
primate.
But even still, the original Kong wasn't that big. Wasn't much bigger than a T-Rex. And
25 feet, I believe.
yeah. And even in Peter Jackson's version of Kong, he retained that. You know what I mean?
He was actually Peter Jackson was actually smaller than
This is I'm actually like, I don't have my hopes up for the Godzilla versus Kong movie. I'm gonna see it, but I'm not excited for it because one, if you gotta grow a monster to fight Godzilla, he should lose. Secondly, what the hell's King Kong gonna do? Use his brains? Okay, it's been heavily established and made very clear from the entire MonsterVerse that Godzilla has a brain and knows how to use it too.
Yes. He's
So-
adapted.
Yeah, so Kong's done lost his best weapon against Godzilla, which was his humanoid-like brain or whatever, his intelligence.
And then
Whatever.
people were also saying that he has a speed advantage, but after King of the Monsters, I don't think so.
Here's the other thing too, right? I know that in the movie, they have to explain how Kong got as big as Godzilla is because, if I'm not mistaken, in the Aftershock movie,
Movie.
Dagon, I'm not Aftershock, the comic book. Dagon is said to be approximately half of Godzilla's size. I could be wrong on this. I need to look up the info. I watched another video the other day because I was researching Dagon. That said that he was slightly smaller than the 2014 version of Godzilla. But then I heard, like, I distinctly remember Dangerville talking about in the comic book of Aftershock, Dagon was supposed to be half the size of the 2014 Godzilla.
Well, and if you remember,
I have the book, so I could probably see if it says anything about.
Yeah, if you could find out for us. But my point is, in either case, we know that the Kong that fought the Godzilla in the cave painting, because that's not Godzilla and that's not Kong. If that Kong, even still in that cave painting, wasn't as big as Godzilla was, and we know that Dagon was smaller than the Godzilla that we're seeing on screen now in the MonsterVerse, how does Kong get so big?
but I'm trying to. I was gonna say something, and then, oh yeah. I mean, Godzilla originally in 2014 was supposed to be 600, so.
Yeah, but come on.
That's a little out of the realm of.
That's treading on Godzilla Earth territory. I don't think Godzilla Earth is gonna like that.
But
yeah, but I don't see the appealing factor of Kong. None of his, like, when you hear King Kong, you only ever hear anybody talk about King Kong when they're talking about Godzilla. And the one time King Kong is actually mentioned in any kind of a movie that I can think of was in Training Day, when Denzel Washington says, "King Kong ain't got on me."
Leap.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that was like it. Like, nothing. King Kong is never referenced because he's a crap monster. It was a really cool idea back in the 30s when he came out and claymation was a thing. And Peter Jackson movie was awesome. Kong Skull Island is okay. But Kong as a character, it just yeah. I feel like Kong as a character goes to show just how uncreative America can be.
Well, I mean, even in King of the Monsters, marketing campaign, like the 56 one, poster said makes King Kong look like a midget. So
Yeah.
a lot of people like to throw him on.
I honestly have to say that the only reason, legitimate, like, not even story-wise or anything, but I feel personally that the only reason we're getting a Godzilla versus Kong movie is because Warner Brothers has Kong, right? They've done the theme park rides and stuff like that. They're trying to make money directly off that because all the Godzilla stuff that they're doing, they have to split with Toho. And if they could not maintain any kind of rights to Godzilla or any of the monsters in it after 2020, after Godzilla vs. Kong, they could easily push the MonsterVerse forward using Kong, or at least they think they can. I guarantee you it will sink harder than the animated Godzilla show based off the 1998 movie. Because nobody cares about Kong. D-Man, 1954, if you're hearing me, Kong is the worst. And I know why you're telling everybody you're on Kong's side.
He was on, but I don't think he actually talked about Kong. So,
dude, I've talked to Derek. We've emailed back and forth. I've done a couple of recreations of his themes for Godzilla. And
I do like the Rodan one.
Yeah, I like it too. I thought he has a really good. He's on the right track with his compositions. I really think he's got a lot of potential if he keeps going. But I've watched his videos where he's like, I want Kong to win, beat Godzilla. I'm like, dude, get out. Just get out.
It just kind of. I don't have a problem with him wanting King Kong to win. It's just how he keeps saying it over and over again.
Yeah, and I'm like, first off, I got two big reasons why he's not going to win. First off, he won the first time.
And
Toho officially came out and said King Kong was the victor of that movie. So he won the first time, right? Secondly, look at the title of this movie. Godzilla versus Kong. Okay, go back and read every other Godzilla versus title.
Mothra versus Godzilla.
Right, and who won? Mothra. Right? King Kong versus Godzilla. Who won? King Kong. Every time Godzilla is featured in the first part of that versus, Godzilla wins. So, I would be extremely shocked if Godzilla loses in this new Godzilla versus Kong movie.
Also, they can't legally kill him.
Yeah, they can.
Very true. No, the contract says they can't kill Godzilla.
Oh, really? So if they can't kill him, which they ultimately need to have happen in this movie, one of them needs to die.
I don't think they're going to do that.
Yeah, they're not, which is why I'm not holding my breath for this movie. Like I'm not going to harp on King of the Monsters anymore because I've already said my piece on it, but it did teach me a lesson. I am not overhyping Godzilla vs. Kong whatsoever. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're doing, but I probably am not going to be on that hype train because of King of the Monsters and the fact that as characters in their own right, Kong just will not ever hold a candle to Godzilla.
I'm not as excited for Kong versus Kong as I was for King of the Monsters, is because King of the Monsters is just too good for me that I don't think it will be able to surpass it.
I don't know. I mean, they would really have to do a good job on the story for me to make me even attempt to root for Kong, let alone want to see that movie with him in it. Because I haven't seen the original King Kong versus Godzilla in a very long time. One, because the suit of Kong is ugly, and secondly, I don't like Kong.
Here's the last thing we're going to discuss, and then we'll end the episode. We did bring up Young Gary, and we're just going to come back and quickly talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
How was the score for those movies?
I've never even heard it.
I honestly don't remember them.
I don't either.
So, there you go.
Next question.
E.T., why'd you even bring it up?
So, here's your final verdict. Godzilla theme is embedded in history. Gamera's okay. Kong, somewhat memorable, but also very forgettable. Young Gary, nobody remembers that. Nobody wants to...
What about Gorgo?
Now we're
Reptilicus?
talking. Oh, see, now you're hitting on the ones that I do know about.
Gappa?
I actually bought Reptilicus. You're hitting all of the nostalgia hits now, Haxor.
How have I seen Reptilicus, but I haven't seen the original?
I don't know, but Reptilicus is really good.
Who am I?
Who are you?
I don't even know you.
I don't even know myself.
But, okay, so...
Gappa was good, sorry.
Wait, I mean, I don't even know who you are. That's...
Gappa, I firmly believe that everybody, you want a monster family wholesome movie, not wholesome family movie, but a monster movie that's based on family, you need to watch Gappa.
He's pretty cool.
I got you.
Gappa's good.
Laguna's the best.
And, and we talked about it, but we'll just bring it up here again. Pacific Rim's number 1, number 2 doesn't have a good theme or score at all.
What even is number 2?
Pacific Rim 1, would you thumbs up or down for good theme?
I actually really enjoyed both movies. Okay. I'd give them both a thumbs up. I thought obviously the second one's the not as good as the first one. But I felt like I feel like Legendary has a really bad time with sequels. Like they're having a rough time making a solid sequel to any of their really good first movies.
Except for King of the Monsters, which I'm not going to get into. We've talked about it plenty.
Yeah.
It's
So,
not a bad sequel. I like I said, I've watched it several times, so it's not bad enough to where I won't watch it. I just, if I'm being critical about it, it's not, whatever. It is what it is.
I gotcha. Well, I think we have had a very long, very good discussion about music scores, King of the Monsters, and Godzilla vs. Kong. So, I don't know what we're going to title this episode. I think I might just stay with Godzilla scores, because we did talk about that
Should
for the
be
most
like,
part.
you should put on there like Scrye poops on King of the Monsters.
Or
Again.
like 50% Godzilla music, 35% Scrye poops on King of the Monsters, 20% Godzilla vs. Kong problems,
10% Young
6%,
Gary.
10% Young Gary, 6% whatever the heck this was, and then another 100% of I wasn't going by 100 percentages.
Right.
But
All the statistics.
yeah. So, of course, the podcast, you can find us on Twitter at Kaiju Converse. That's KAIJU_CONVERS. Or if you don't have a social media and you want to ask us a question, review us, give us an idea, or even want to be on an episode, you can also email us at kaijuconversation@gmail.com, all lowercase letters, and it's pretty self-forward on how to spell Kaiju Conversation. Also, join our Discord server where you can chat with not only Haxor and I, but other people about stuff that you love. And we love to grow our server. That's one of the big goals we have. Also, if you're listening to us on iTunes, please give us an iTunes review that boosts our ratings and gets us on more recommended pages. So that's always helpful. And when you do rate us, we will read those out as soon as I find out where they are and if I get notifications. Also, if you're listening to us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, like the videos, and if you have any things, comment down below. One of us will reply to you. Also, I keep forgetting this, and I think I remembered it. We also have merchandise now. It can be found in the description below, or if you look Kaiju Conversation up in Teespring, you can find it. It's all original stuff made by the people here, and if you want to buy it from us, please do. I think it's supposed to help us. I'm not sure. They didn't really explain that much, but yeah. Now, Scrye, where can we find you at?
You can find my channel on YouTube, youtube.com/ScryeOfficial. It's Scrye Productions is what you'll find. And then you can find me on Twitter at Scrye_official. And
Awesome.
those are my two main hangout places.
Awesome. Haxor, where can we find you at?
You can find me, why am I blanking on this? You can find me at the YouTube channel of Haxorzilla, and you can find me on the Twitter account of at Haxorzilla129.
Awesome. And, of course, I've been your host, ET13 Productions. You can find me on YouTube as ET13 Productions. And... wait, no, that's it. I don't have videos.
And that's the way it goes.
Okay. Yeah. So there's that stuff. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and as always, this has been your Kaiju Conversation where we talk big every week.